All right, so welcome. Happy Remembrance Day and happy Wednesday. Today we are going to be started seated on our mat, so you are perfect as you are. If you have any props that you need nearby, so whether you have actual yoga props like blocks and straps or cushions, or even just folded towels and tea towels and things like that, that works as well, but we can make do. Yeah, and then as always, we will move with our bodies. So to begin with, we always set the intention to meet our bodies where they're at today. That means not what we were able to do 2 years ago or what we want to do next year, but we really keep an eye on our range of motion today and pain. So anything shooting, sharp, tingling, or numbness in the extremities, those are things that you want to stay away from. So back off the pose, go into the previous thing, or take a comfortable position. And on the same note, if you feel that extra voom to challenge yourself, do the same. It's your body can also be asking for more sometimes. So I'm going to make my way to my mat. And we'll take a tall seat, whatever that means for you. So if cross-legged doesn't offer you that tall seat, you can sit on a cushion like I'm doing, or a couch cushion, a folded blanket. You could also be seated on your knees if that works better for you as well. And then once you get to that seat, close your eyes. Roll the shoulders back a few times, just accessing a little bit more movement there, a little bit of activation in the shoulders, and then let them fall down. Widen the collarbones and plant down through the seat. Start to tune in to sensation. So it might be the touch of air on your skin or the breath at your nostrils. It might be the sensation of the earth underneath your seat. Perhaps even sounds close or distant. It might be the light that you can sense behind your eyelids, or even the tastes in your mouth or smells in the room. Re-embodying ourselves. We're all coming from different places, different things that have been happening all morning. And now we come to our mat and let all that other dust settle. Getting back into the body, getting back to ourselves. My theme this week is alignment. And so we've been exploring alignment on all planes. Most obviously on our mat. We get that alignment, that physical alignment. We really get to explore what it means to be aligned physically. the balance of strength and length. How it feels when the spine is stacked, just so. And then the flow of energy, the blood flow, the neurological flow. That happens. What I also have been urging us all to consider this week is how our yoga practice aligns us mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as well. For all of us, this may be different. But as we flow through our practice today, be a scientist and notice what happens. Notice what happens when we tune into physical alignment. How not only the nervous system sighs in relief, but there's something deeper, something beyond physical that also sighs in relief. When we're doing movement that is in line with our values, with what our bodies want to do. Slowly open the eyes, and 3 times we're going to inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, hands down through the center, thumbs to the heart. 2 more, sweeping wide, just getting that stretch in, whether it's morning or afternoon. And last one, hold the thumbs at the center for a moment, bow to yourself, perhaps set your own intention for today's class. And then hands to the knees or thighs. And then we're going to start to rock forward and back. So as we inhale, we're going to draw that heart forward. As we exhale, we're going to curl back. Just starting to access the spine and the hips and the shoulders a little bit. Imagine just working through all the little restrictions and kinks that are within the torso. Follow your breath. Nice. And then next time you come forward, instead of going straight back, we're going to swing over to the left and curl around and start to make circles with our torso. Imagine stirring a pot. Do 1 more in this direction. And then start to go in the other direction, noticing the difference. Now it's easy to get caught up in analyzing or judging the sensations that we feel. Just keep coming back to noting, oh, that side's different. Cool, interesting. We keep going. We're going to design this class so that we come out more balanced than we came in. Come back to center, and then we're going to walk that right hand over to the right. Start to bend the right elbow. Left hand can stay on the waist. It can come up behind the back of the head for support, or it can reach over and just get that nice side body stretch. Imagine that there's somebody pinning down that left hip. And then like an elastic band, you're drawing up and away from the floor. Inhale all the way up, Come over to the other side. Bending the left elbow, reaching over with the right body in whatever arm position feels right to you. It may be different on this side. I like to trust in the wisdom of my body, even though they don't look symmetrical. I'm trusting that it knows what this side needs. And back up to center. Shake it out a little bit. Take any props out of the way and come to hands and knees. So hands are set under the shoulders, knees are set under the hips. And we're going to start to do very subtle cats and cows. So I was doing this yesterday too. We're going to start by just moving from the pelvis. So just a very slight tip forward and a very slight tip back. And then you can slowly start to move that up into the lower back, then the upper back. Linking breath to movement, inhaling as we tip forward, exhaling as we bring the pubic bone closer towards the belly button. And then soon we travel all the way up the spine, involving the head and the neck. You can start to bring some muscle action into it, where you're starting to press into the floor on the exhale and almost drawing those heels of the hands and the knees together on the inhale. And again, noticing how the left and the right feel. Noticing which segments of the spine feel more mobile than others. And one more. Nice. Coming back to neutral, we're going to go into our shoulder flow right away. So as we exhale, we're going to draw the hips back. And as we inhale, we draw the face along the floor, elbows out to the side, and press back up. And we do that a few more times. So here you can involve your spine. We're getting into the shoulders a little more, getting into the hips a little more. And you can start to exaggerate the movements as your body starts to get more open. Keeping those hips high, nestling the arm bones into the shoulder sockets, opening that heart on the way up, and curling through the pelvis and the lower back on the way back. Let's do 2 more of those. And after that last one, we'll come back to center, walking the knees under the hips and the hands under the shoulders. This time we're reaching back through that left leg and starting to get a little bit more muscle action here. Press back through that left heel and then reach out through the right arm. We're going to hold it here, really focusing on the alignment, that nice long line from the fingertips all the way out the heel. And see if you can find center. Equal weight in the front hand and the back knee. The belly button pulling into the center. And then for the last 4 breaths, we exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, reach it up. Starting to get a little bit of movement, a little bit of fire, a little bit of core stability work. After that last one, release the hand, release the foot, and go to the other side. Reach that right leg out, press out through the heel. Find that length through the leg, and then when you're ready, maybe the left arm comes up. You find stability, you find balance between the left and right sides, and you draw everything in towards the center. Feel that long line from fingertip to heel. And then for the last 4 breaths, exhale, knee to elbow, inhale, reach it out. So when it comes to, especially that alignment of the spine and the health of the spine, release the hand, release the knee. It's really about both the mobility and the strength. And not only along the back and the core, but the hips and the shoulders too. Let's curl the toes under, draw those knees up 2 to 3 inches off the floor. Press down into the hands, every fingertip, every knuckle. Even try to spread your toes on your mat. And then draw that belly button up towards the sky as we hold here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Press back into a downward facing dog, adjusting as needed. Hips come back and up. Those hands are still pressing into the earth, and we're lengthening the sit bones away from the hands. One nice long line from fingertips all the way out the sit bones. Awesome. We're going to come back into that bent knee pose, hovering off the ground. And this time you could either stay here, or 4 times you could press your hips back into a rocket and then come forward. So let's go for 4, for 3. So the arms stay straight and strong. It's those hips that are being pulled back. And 1 more. Beautiful. Come into your downward dog. Do any pedaling you need. Great. Whenever you're ready, start to walk the feet up towards the front of the mat. Bend the knees as much as needed. Let the head, neck hang. And maybe even do some circles with the arms. And then slowly come all the way up to standing. And stay here for a moment in Tadasana, mountain pose. Feeling the roots in your feet, feeding off the earth and then growing up through the legs, stacked on the hips, the torso, the shoulders, the neck, the head at the very top. Next inhalation, reach those arms up to the sky. And exhale, fold forward. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, coming all the way up. Now remember, every time you fold forward, if you need to bend the knees a little bit to take the strain off the low back, do so. We'll get into those hamstrings, which are really important again for low back health. And we'll move through it eventually. Don't force it, don't overstrain. Once you get into a forward fold again, hold it there for 1 full round of breath. And then hands to shins or thighs, press up, lengthen. Exhale, fold. 2 more of those. Press up and fold. And 1 more. Press up this time, hold it here. And now take a look at with your internal eyes, maybe your ribs. Are they dumping forward? Are we compressing the low back? Draw those ribs in, activate the lower abdomen, and then connect to the length from the sit bones all the way out through the head. Nice. If you can, bend the knees a little bit, bring those arms back behind you, palms up to the sky. Find the length from head to tail and the strength in the legs. Maybe for the last 2 breaths, reach those arms out in front of you as an extension of that torso, and hold for 1 more. Release the hands down, step back with the right leg, and come to a lunge position. If you have any props, you might want to bring them under your hands. And that back leg, always an option to bend it and bring it to the earth, but we're going to keep it straight here for this one, if you can. Make sure the front knee is bent right on top of that front ankle. And then bring a little bit of muscle energy to scissor those legs towards each other, and then bend away from that back anchor. The back leg is anchoring you back. That front knee is stabilizing you, and you're pressing down on all 4 corners of that front foot. Feel that strength. Maybe if that strength is there, the hands might float up off the floor, but our torso is still resting on that front leg. Maybe that torso just comes up an inch off that front leg, but it stays on that diagonal angle. Maybe the arms reach back like wings, palms up to the sky, shoulders on the back. When you feel strong and long from head to heel here. If you want, for the last 2 breaths, reach the arms out in front of you to a ready pose. So just like we were doing in that half forward fold, we're reaching out through the fingertips, making a long line from fingertips all the way out through the heel this time. And now release the hands down, walk the right hand to the right, lean onto the right hand, twist to the left. And just get some space through the torso here. You might even reach that left arm up to the sky. And then come back to center and step back into your plank, your first plank. It could be on elbows and knees, it could be on hands and feet, or anywhere in between. But wherever you are, you feel that line. These symmetrical poses are great because they really do help us balance out the 2 sides of the body, the right and the left. They really bring to our forefront any kind of asymmetry we have. And again, without judgment, it happens. But then we get to work on it. For 3, keep drawing the ribs in. For 2, activate that lower abdomen. And 1, drop the knees down, bend the elbows out behind you, come all the way down to the earth. So flip the feet over, keep the hands on the floor, draw the elbows in. We're gonna lift the head and chest up. Everything else, even the lower ribs, is on the floor. Lower ribs, pelvis, abdomen, tops of the thighs, tops of the feet. All of that's on the floor. Roll the shoulders back. So we're in a baby cobra here. And we could lift the hands up off the ground and not go anywhere. We're using purely our core muscles to keep us up here. Now we are going to add a little bit of arms, but instead of pressing into the hands, we're going to pull the heels of the hands back towards our abdomen on the mat. So we're not really moving them. We're gripping the mat
and almost like we're pulling our ribs forward. Feel that traction and length. Roll the shoulders back. Pull yourself a little further forward, almost as if you want to burst your heart off your mat. Hold that for 3, 2, 1. Release down. Come back into your downward dog or your puppy pose or your child's pose. Whatever allows you to reset and get ready for side 2. Whenever you're ready, right footsteps between the hands. It may take 1, 2, or many steps. We set that right knee up over the right ankle, and back leg is going to be straight for most of us, but if you'd like to, you can come down on that knee as well. Have any props you need under your fingertips in order to not hunch too much. And then we get that muscle action of scissoring the legs together and then bending away from that back strong leg to get a bit of that stretch. Now, just like last time, perhaps the fingertips float up off the floor and the arms can just hang there. We find stability in the front leg. We plant down through all 4 corners of that front foot. And that back leg is still powerful. Maybe the arms come back behind us like wings. And maybe the torso can come up an inch off that thigh, but still at an angle. So we've got this nice long line from head to heel. Now, if you're feeling really good here, you might even be able to reach those arms out in front of you, biceps beside the ears, but lots of space for the head and the neck. Into ready pose. Feel that length from fingertip to heel. And then release the hands down. Walk the left hand to the left. Right hand comes to the pelvis and we twist. Maybe we reach up with that right arm. Just get some space through the torso. Nice open twist. And then back to center. Step the back leg forward, 1 step, 2 steps, or many, and come to a forward fold. Release here. Sit back into the heels, bend the knees nice and deep. And again, we're going to keep the torso on the thighs here. So arms come up off the floor and we're in kind of a half chair, ready to sit down on a couch behind us. And now keeping the body parallel to the floor, maybe you can reach the arms out in front again. See how that balance of reaching out through the fingertips allows you to sit back a little bit deeper. Make sure the feet are parallel. You have a good view of them here. Those legs are strong. Those sit bones are pressing back for 3, for 2. You're ready to dive for 1. And inhale, come all the way up. Beautiful. Exhale, fold forward. Look up halfway, lengthen, hands to shins or thighs, and fold. Fingertips to the earth. Left leg steps back behind you. And this time you have the option of taking that back knee to the earth and doing a hamstring stretch here in Ardha Hanuman, or you can keep that back knee off the ground, pressing into the front foot and come into a modified pyramid pose. So I'm still on my back toes here. So as we extend through that front leg, we're mindful to not start to twist our hips open. Keep drawing that left hip forward and that right hip back. So in either of those poses, you could even test yourself a little by taking your right thumb right at that hip crease and trying to lengthen it back a little bit more. You'll see that that lengthens your torso, but it also intensifies the stretch in the hamstring. I have a little micro bend in that front knee just so that I'm not hyperextending that leg. And we hold it there for 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Bend through that front knee. Keep that right hip back. Power up the back leg and come all the way up now, this time into a high lunge. Always an option to do low lunge on that back knee. Now we're getting into that hip flexor. Hands at the heart. And just work on that stability of the legs. They're scissoring towards each other, but also that front knee is bending away from the back leg to get a little extra stretch. Every inhale, you scissor a little bit. Every exhale, you bend. If you'd like, for the last 2 breaths, you could change your arm position into either cactus or reaching up. For 1 more breath. And then hands to the earth. Step back to your plank. Beautiful. In this plank, we're going to come down onto our elbows, everybody. You can be on your knees still. We're just going to get a little bit of rotation in the hips now. So we're going to dip the hips over to the right and come up like a rainbow through the center and then over to the left. Let's keep going for 4 more to each side. For 3 more. For 2 more. Feeling that little bit of twist, feeling the core. 1 more on each side. Beautiful. Come back to center. Bring the palms to the floor, parallel the arms, flip the feet over, and slowly let those hips come down into a Sphinx pose. So we're doing the same action here as we did in that baby cobra. We're going to be letting everything from the pubic bone down ground into the earth. And then with our arms, we're drawing our heart forward, as if we're trying to increase the space between our vertebrae. So let's exhale, let go a little bit, let everything hang. As we inhale, draw those elbows towards you and lengthen. So we've got a little bit more arc in the spine in this one, because in the last one, as you remember, the ribs were still on the floor. Now our ribs are off the floor, but we can really access the power of our arms, the shoulders, to lengthen through, up and away from the floor. Hold it here for 2 more. And 1. Exhale all the way down, hands under the shoulders, down dog, child's, or puppy, whatever calls to you. And then left leg is going to step forward between the hands, right leg back this time. You can choose to do Ardha Hanuman, or the half splits with the back knee down, or a modified pyramid by keeping that back knee up and staying on the back toes. Extend through the front leg and feel that hamstring. So from the attachment up at the pelvis, all the way down the leg, even past the knee joint, should feel a lengthening. And again, you can take that left thumb and test. Make sure that left hip is pulling back to square those hips off. I can get more length through both sides of my waist this way. And I'm definitely intensifying the stretch. And now bend through that left knee into a lunge pose, keeping that left hip back, and maybe come all the way up into high lunge or on the back knee for low lunge, hands at the heart. Every inhale, we draw those legs towards each other. Every exhale, we bend a little more through that front knee. Inhale, power up, exhale, bend. Find that nice, secure, stable, strong, and stretched out place. And either for the last 2 breaths, stay here or change the arm position. One more breath. And then fingertips come to the earth. We step forward to the front of the mat. Parallel the feet, bend the knees deep. Chair pose number 2. Sit back nice and deep. Again, we're going to keep the torso parallel to the earth and reach those arms out in front. Sit nice and deep. Now, keeping the legs as they are as much as you can you start to peel that torso up off the thighs and bring those arms and heart up into your chair pose. Always an option to bring the hands down to prayer. For 3, keep the weight in the heels. For 2, smile. For 1, keep the collarbones wide and come all the way up. Beautiful. And fold forward. Look up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fingertips down, step the right leg back, spin the right heel down to the earth so that you're in a heel to heel or heel to arch stance. Come all the way up into a warrior 2. Reach those arms out like wings. Gaze over the front hand, and just like in our lunge, we're going to inhale and come out of the pose slightly to ground down through both feet. And as we exhale, we bend away with that left knee. So inhale, come out slightly. Exhale, ground deeper. One more time. And now hold it here. Beautiful. Now from that stability from the hips down, we're going to find length and mobility from the hips up. So first access that length of the spine. And now flip the hands to face the same direction as your heart. As we exhale, we're going to turn to the front, meeting the hands together. And then as if we're drawing back a bow, inhale, draw it back and release. And then turn, twist, and draw it back. Legs stay strong. 2 more. And last one. Beautiful. Nice. And then let the arms come down, step back to your plank. This time we come all the way down onto our abdomen. Flip the feet over. Draw those elbows towards each other. Hands under the shoulders or slightly back behind the ribs. And again, up into a baby cobra. If you think you can keep that length, that width through the collarbone, the relaxation in your jaw and your eyebrows, and the mobility and space in the neck and shoulders, you could start to press into the hands as you continue to draw yourself up and forward. If there's any compression, pinching, then you come down a little bit. If you're caving in through the heart, then it's no longer a heart opener and you come down a little bit. If you're clenching your jaw or furrowing your eyebrows, can you use your breath to release? And then come all the way down, downward dog or child's or puppy. And now right foot comes forward between the hands. Left heel spins down. We come up into our warrior two again. Now with the right leg forward. Every inhale, we draw those legs towards each other a little bit, press into all four corners of both feet, and then exhale, bend away from that back leg. That back leg stays strong. The muscles from the hip all the way down to the outer edge of that back foot are working. In and out. In and out. Beautiful. Hold that warrior two. And then flip the palms open to the side. Exhale, twist palms together. Inhale, draw back that bow. And then twist and draw it back. Beautiful. And two more times. After that last one, hold that warrior two. And then fingertips to the earth. Step forward to the front of the mat. And fold. Chair pose number 3. Bend the knees. Hands to the heart. Out front. Or all the way up. And we hold it here with strength. There's a little bit of singing in the background here. Courtesy of my daughter. All right. For 3, 2, 1. Come all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Hands to shins or thighs. Look up halfway, lengthen. Fingertips to the earth. Now this time we're going to step that left foot back, but only about 3 to 4 feet. Spin the left heel down so that back foot is at about a 15-degree angle, and then start to bend that front knee. We're coming all the way up into warrior one. So warrior one has a much narrower stance because we want that back heel down and we want the hips facing generally in the same direction. So you can adjust yourself as needed, but feel that long line up the back of that left leg. And then notice if you feel squished in the low back. If you do, just bring the body forward a little bit so that, again, you've got that alignment from head to heel. Hands come to the heart. Beautiful. If you want, arms can come up. And keep pressing out through all 4 corners of both feet. Nice. Now hands are going to come back to the heart, and we are going to tip forward all together now until we start to feel a lot more weight in that front foot. Once you feel that weight, maybe you can come onto the back toes. Maybe this is where you stay. Maybe those back toes start to float up off the ground as you shift all the weight into that right foot. Press out through the left heel, press out through the top of the head. Warrior 3. Now the alignment of the hips here, making sure that they're at even levels, that is key. Press into that bottom foot, lift up through the arch. Maybe the arms come forward or to the sides, and then slowly bring that back foot back. Plant the hands, step back to your plank pose. Beautiful work. Oh, balancing. Come all the way down to the earth. And now, whatever your favorite heart opener was so far, let's come into it, either baby cobra, full bhujangasana, or even sphinx pose, as long as that heart is bursting forward and the spine is lengthening, not only arcing. And then back into your downward dog, child's or puppy. And then the other leg. Left foot comes forward. And then that right heel spins down about 3 to 4 feet away from the left. We bend through the left knee, come all the way up into Warrior One. Warrior One is one of the most tricky ones because you can notice your hips want to open to the left here, or the right here. We're trying to draw them into the center and face the front. Then you can start to feel a little bit of compression in that left low back. So we come forward a little, we draw that left hip back, we lengthen, we activate the muscles, and we see if we can stay long while bringing our torso up. And if not, we stay at an angle. Hands at the heart or hands up to the sky. Beautiful. Hands come back to the heart, and we start to shift the weight forward. Lean forward with the torso. Keep that left hip back. That's important to keep those hips in line. Find space and length through the torso, and then maybe start to come up on those back toes. You might stay right here, kind of balancing on that front foot without actually taking that back leg off the floor. That is great right there. Maybe that back leg comes up off the floor, but you form a T with the body. Notice that just like in Warrior One, if the body starts to open up towards the right, you start to lose your balance. So keep both sides of the waist long. Keep the sacrum parallel to the earth. And maybe those arms reach out in front. Excellent work. Hands to the heart. We can step the feet together and come all the way up into Tadasana, mountain pose. And breathe. Amazing job. So we'll come back to the front of the mat. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold. Look up halfway, lengthen. Hands come to the earth, step back and come into a child's pose. Knees apart, toes together, hips back towards the heels. Find a place for your forehead to rest, whether it's on the floor, your hands or your fists, or even props. And just let yourself melt here. The strengthening of the core and the hips, all along the spine. That's what we've been working on there. Now we can get into a little bit more opening to balance it out and fully appreciate the power of yoga for alignment. We're coming into Pigeon Pose next. So either coming into down dog or hands and knees. I'm going to bring the left knee towards the left wrist to begin with. Cross the left leg across the mat as much as it'll cross, and then walk that right leg back. Shimmy it back until it won't go anymore. Back knee can come down onto the earth. I like to keep my back toes curled under just for this first part while I activate. So I'm going to come up onto my fingertips and then draw those legs towards each other again. Scissor them towards each other. You even come out of the pose a little. That's okay, because we want to start the stretch from somewhere that's aligned. Lengthen through the spine, draw that left hip back, and then release the back toes down. And then we can start from that length of the spine, folding forward. So you might come onto blocks, you might come onto elbows, you might come all the way down to the earth. And then we notice what's happening. We notice if we start to roll onto that left hip, even if it means we're not as close to the earth, we find center. We start to notice if we start to open the pelvis towards the right. And then we find center again. All of these little ways where we try to escape stretching exactly where our body needs the stretch, all the tight places. They're little messages. Little clues. As you hold pigeon, you might melt closer towards the earth. Breathing into the glutes, into the hip. We really get benefit on all 360 degrees of that hip joint here, and all of the muscles that stabilize it. You could even explore for the last few breaths, maybe walking the hands over to the left, bowing over the left leg, maybe walking them to the right, seeing how that feels. And then back to center. Press yourself up onto your hands, curl the back toes under, bring some muscle action back, and extricate yourself from that pose. You can walk it out, you can wiggle, you can do a child's pose, whatever you need before the next leg. Right knee comes towards the right wrist, right leg crosses the mat. We walk that left leg back behind us until it won't walk anymore. I stay on my back toes and come onto my fingertips as I activate those muscles to draw myself tall, scissoring the legs towards each other, finding length and alignment. And then from there, can release the back toes and start to melt that long body forward. Seeing if I can keep length in both sides of the waist equally. You'll notice that right hip starts to hike up and the right side body gets shorter. We want to try to keep as much length in both sides as possible. Noticing the balance from left to right. Releasing any tension that doesn't need to be there. So tension in the shoulders, tension in the face, between the eyebrows and the jaw. Letting gravity draw you closer to the earth. Perhaps even melting as you hold the pose, as things unfurl and untangle inside. Beautiful. And then for the last few breaths, you can explore a little, walk the hands over to the right, lengthen through the left side, and then over to the left. And then back to center, press into the hands, get nice and long, curl the back toes under, bring some energy back to the body as you extricate yourself, and do whatever you need to do to recover. Nice. We're going to sit down onto our knees. So if this doesn't work for you, if hips to heels doesn't work, there's a couple options you have. You could always have something to catch you as you come to sit back. You could also, if the knees are an issue, take a rolled towel and stick it between those knees within that knee joint to open up the space there as well. But this position really allows us to access that long spine in hero's pose here. So get nice and tall and notice where your pelvis is. Make sure it's not tipping forward. You'll know it's tipping forward if you feel like your ribs are spilling out in front of you and there's a little bit of compression or pinching in the low back. And then also make sure you're not tipping backwards too much. You know this, if the ribs are coming down towards your pelvis and you're caving in through that front body. So you could even go a few times, just like we were doing in our cat-cow at the beginning of the class. Tip forward and back until you find center. Once you find center, hands come to the thighs, shoulders roll back. And we breathe. Feeling open here. Nice reset for the spine. And then slowly you can come on to your sit bones. Reach those legs out in front of you. Give them a wiggle. We're going to come into a twist here, bending the right knee. You can keep the right foot on the inside edge of the left leg or on the outside edge. If it's in your practice and you like to bend that left knee back behind you without having that right sit bone come way off the ground, that works too. Hug the right knee in with the left arm. Right arm comes behind you. Get nice and tall here. Access that spine. You'll see it's more accessible after having opened the hips and strengthened all of that, the core. And then maybe you can twist and look towards the right. The left elbow may even come to the outer edge of that right knee. You might even look away over your right shoulder. Come back to center. A little counter twist to the other side always feels nice. And then release. Stretch those legs out, give them a shake, bend the left knee. It can stay there or it can cross to the outside edge of the right leg. You could stay there or you could tuck that right leg back. Get nice and tall. Hug the left knee in with the right elbow, left hand behind you. And then from the very root of your spine, start to twist around towards the left. Keeping that left hip grounded, aiming for both sides of the body, both sides of the torso to be long. Lifting up through the top of the head. Maybe coming to stop sign. Right elbow on the outer edge of that left knee. And then inhale back to center. A little counter twist to the other direction. And then come on back. Stretch those legs out. Give them a shake. And slowly come to your back again. So as you're coming to your back, you'll notice that you might have to recalibrate once you get there. So keep the knees bent at first, even bent and falling in towards each other, so you let that pelvis get heavy on the earth. And feel how the back slowly starts to get used to it here. You could stay here. You can move into your final relaxation pose, or if anything else has to move through your body, listen to it. So perhaps maybe a bridge pose, maybe some windshield wipers, maybe a happy baby, maybe another twist. Otherwise, find your way into a position for Shavasana that feels balanced, relaxing, and fully embodied. Somewhere you can come back to sensation again and just be for the next few minutes. Notice from head to toes the space, the flow that you've created. As you stabilize those joints, which are also entrance and exit points for nerves, places that they can get compressed or pinched. So we stabilize them with strength. So we relax the muscles that are being overused and over tight. Find balance and thus alignment. And thus relief. Relief in the nervous system. Flow. And that cannot be dissociated from relief mentally, emotionally. and spiritually. As I said yesterday in class, the whole system of yoga was really designed to allow us to access a comfortable meditation position and thus, attain enlightenment. Hopefully that becomes clear after your practice. How this flow really plugs us into ourselves, plugs us into a sense of joy, and might leak out into flow in our lives. Mobility, flexibility, strength, beyond just the physical. I hope that you all feel plugged in, clicked in with who you are, the beautiful you at the core, and that you may go out off the mat and continue to feel in alignment with yourself, with the world around you, with what you do. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you thank yourselves before you leave the mat. Stay here for as long as you can. Namaste.